Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Actually, welcome to my rooftop for the very first time. If you watched my latest video, you know that I'm building a new house, which is not ready yet, but it's ready enough so I can come here and hang around. And this is the rooftop where I will be able to record some videos if I don't want to record inside in a studio, and also do some astrophotography. So this is the very first video that I'm recording here, which is very exciting. And I also have a very exciting video for you guys today because I have received a new star tracker from Shoot Move, the Nomad, which is what I'm holding right here. This is their newest sort of travel star tracker, which I think is something that's supposed to supersede the Shoot Move rotator, which has been the sort of smallest and most probably travel friendly option. This is the Nomad. I actually already own the previous rotator, which is this. And as you can see, the new one is actually even smaller. It's shorter and it's also thinner. This one, the old one, is wider. And when it comes to thickness, they are about the same. So the new one is actually smaller when you think about, traveling and having to pack it somewhere. And also weight comparison, I think they are very, very comparable. However, this one is much more capable. I think the payload limit went twice as much compared to the rotator. I think the current payload limit is 3.5 kilograms. I might be wrong. If I am, I will put some numbers here on the screen to correct myself. But overall, I like the way it looks. I like the red sort of finish here. It kind of resembles the ZWO astronomy cameras. And it also has a built-in Arca Swiss compatible plate, so you can easily mount it on a ball head if you have one in the Arca Swiss standard. And the basic kit also comes with a laser pointer for polar alignment, which is actually also improved in design compared to what was available for the rotator. And I also have the Wedge, the newest Wedge from Shoot Move, in order to be able to more easily polar align. I want to say a disclaimer that this unit of the Nomad Star Tracker was provided to me for free by Shoot Move. They sent me everything I just shown you, except for the rotator, the old one that I already had. For the purposes of this review, however, I am perfectly allowed to say anything I want. Say if there's anything I don't like. So this is a completely independent and unbiased review. So we're gonna take a look at how it's built, about some features right here, and then when it's dark, we're gonna of course put it through the paces. So they have made a couple of improvements over the original one, the rotator. One of it is the way you attach your camera, because to the old one you would just take a ball head and you would have to screw it in here. And once it's screwed in, if you're tracking, and if so happens that your weight is on this side of the mount, depending on where you are pointed with your camera, you could actually run into a situation where the weight of the camera would unscrew the ball head, which could be catastrophic for your equipment potentially. And they completely eliminated this sort of design flaw with the Nomad, in a way that there's a different way of attaching the camera. So you would unscrew this red ring, it will go off completely, and here you can actually remove this base plate to which you can attach a ball head. You actually need to keep this in here in order to be able to secure it back. But if we now take the ball head, you can actually screw this right in here. There's a 3/8 of an inch sort of standard ball head screw on the bottom here. And there's also this thumb something sticking out that you can use to kind of do it just with your hands. And there's also a notch that you can use like a flathead screwdriver to really, really secure this. And right here, you take this and you can just put it in here like this. There are these teeth that lock in very nicely. There's literally no play in these teeth. Once the this ring sort of pressures it downwards. So I'm just gonna do this, and now it's completely secure, and I would be perfectly fine, and I would trust this, that it will not unscrew itself of the weight of the camera. So here, as I mentioned, there's a built-in sort of Arco Swiss plate, and this is also an improvement over the old model, because in the old model there was just this hole right here, quarter 20 sort of standard tripod hole. I hope you can see this clearly, and you could just screw in your own Arco Swiss plate. So let me try to do that. And if you did that, because it sits on one screw, potentially it could also kind of rotate itself off under the weight of your rig while you are imaging. So this is again not good, and they improved this significantly in the new design in a way that this Arco Swiss plate is actually held by 2 bolts right here, and because of the 2 bolts there's literally no way that this will rotate around unwantedly. One more improvement is also the way you would attach your laser pointer. So in the old model you would have to sort of attach it with like a clamp beside it. Here there is this red cap that you can take off, and the laser pointer actually screws itself right into the body of the tracker. So here's the laser pointer. It looks like this. It's really nice and really bright. I'm not going to shine it into the camera, no worries. And it has this red sort of attachment that comes with it. And this red attachment would screw in to the place where I have just unscrewed the cap. Then you need to actually take off the front of the laser pointer like this, and then this part can screw into the tracker itself just like that. There's a hole in front, a small hole right here, and the pointer would just shine through the tracker itself, and that way it's really nice and secure. There's no play, and you can be certain that it will actually point sort of parallel and in line with the axis of rotation of the actual tracker, which is what you want to point at the celestial pole. This unit, the same as the old rotator, has a built-in battery that you can charge via a USB-C port. I like this. I hate switching batteries, thinking about whether I need to grab new batteries from the store, disposing of old batteries. I hate this, so I very much like to be able to just charge my batteries and don't worry about external batteries. I will have to check if you can run this unit through a power bank if you want to run it like all night. But I'm pretty sure it should be possible. Again, if anything, I'm gonna correct myself on the side. And then there's just one simple switch here, which serves as a on-off switch, and also you can switch which hemisphere are you working with. Northern hemisphere off in the middle, and southern hemisphere on this side. This switch is actually one thing I don't like about the design. It looks a little bit flimsy, and it kind of makes it almost difficult to switch off the unit, to put it in the middle. But I guess this little diode will indicate whether you are in the correct position if you want to track, and if no diodes are flashing, then the unit is off. But again, this switch looks a bit flimsy and could be more of a higher quality switch. This is the one thing which I think could be improved when it comes to design and mechanical design of this. Otherwise, it looks very solid, nice black finish with red accents on the polar, on the laser pointer, and on this ring right here. So I actually also have a wedge, which is something that Shoot Move originally didn't want to sort of provide to me, but I insisted because I think this is a really handy thing if you want to precisely polar align. Yeah, so this thing just, with the included Arco Swiss plate, you can just put it on the wedge, or you can put it on sort of any ball head. And then you would use, in my case, the wedge to polar align it. I can put it I can put it on some sort of a tripod. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And this knob will allow you to dial in your latitude, your current latitude, which matches the angle of sort of inclination to be looking at the celestial pole. In my case, it's about 50 degrees, which is probably somewhere here. Then you can latch it in, I think, with this wrench on the side. If this wrench would, yeah, I thought so. If this wrench would get in the way of your tripod leg or something, you can pull it and change its position and then tighten it even more. So now it's tight. And these two screws, like with any sort of equatorial wedge, would allow you to dial in your azimuth in polar alignment. So you just screw out one and screw in the next one to do fine adjustments. And especially if you have like a heavy lens on it and you want to dial in your polar alignment, if you had a ball head, because you can have a second ball head here instead of this wedge. But if you untighten the ball head and move this around with a heavy camera on, when you tighten the ball head, it will sink in a little bit, which will throw off your polar alignment. So I much more prefer to have a wedge, which I can work with using these precision screws once the payload is on here. And that way I can dial in my polar alignment. So I'm gonna test this when it gets dark. But this is pretty much how it looks. I'm just gonna put on my EOS R with a 28mm from Sigma right here. Let's see how it looks. And it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. So see you when it gets dark. And here we are. We are at night. Actually, I've traveled quite a lot to get this part of the video. I'm currently in Italy, in the Italian Alps, near Mont Blanc, the highest mountain in Europe, at least in the Alps, because apparently there's a higher peak somewhere close to Russia. But anyways, I'm just walking up this really cool observatory up on a hill with a view over the mountains. Supposedly it's gonna look great and the views from here are breathtaking, so we will see. It's less than a 10 minutes walk, so let's go there and let's see how it looks. Okay, I am here at the location. There's actually a bunch of places for telescopes here with like socket outlets, so you can plug in your rig. It actually looks pretty cool. I have checked it out previously on Google Maps and it looked really awesome. And it is. The only problem is the weather. The weather is not great. I mean, it's not completely cloudy, but it's also not completely clear. It's supposed to be clearing up about this hour, so I'm gonna wait a while and see. I can actually see some storm on this side, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, let's see if it clears up. I'm gonna unpack here. See you in a bit. So I set up everything, waited a little bit. Unfortunately, the clouds are still not yet out of the way, but I think it's good enough to get some shots. So I have the Nomad tracker set up here with my Canon camera and a 28 from Sigma. And what we need to do obviously is we need to polar align. And I want to show you something. I have the laser pointer screwed in here, and if I light it up, as you can see, it actually hits a part of my camera. So depending on what kind of camera you use, you might face this issue. So to fix this issue, you can actually just move this camera on the ball head, just enough. There you go. Just enough for the laser pointer to clear the way. And then, as you can see, the laser pointer is really bright, and it's really easy, especially using the wedge that you can get optionally from Move Shoot Move. But even if you don't have the wedge, you can use just a standard ball head and move this around, essentially to point this at Polaris. And it turned out that it didn't clear out that night. And it actually sucks because this location is really cool, like you probably saw already on the B-roll footage. It's a nice observatory on a mountaintop. I actually highly recommend you visiting there. If you're ever in the Italian Alps, or maybe even in the Swiss or French, because it's close to Mont Blanc, which is like on the border of a couple of these countries. So if you ever visit this area, I would highly recommend this observatory. They have like guided tours and even stuff for children. So I put some links down below in the description if you want to check that out. However, I was able to get a few test shots 4 minutes long at 28, 50 and 100 millimeter, which we're going to take a look in just a second. And then when I came back home, I was able to take the Nomad, which I have right here, to the Perseid meteor shower. We also had an aurora display in Poland. And I was able to get a clear night and shoot like a panorama of the Milky Way and also some other compositions. And it turned out to be, great weather. And the Nomad, I must say, is a very, very capable little piece of equipment. And I actually love this a lot. You can see how compact this is. This is what I usually pack into my backpack, or maybe even I can disassemble this into. The Nomad itself, like I've already shown you in the intro, is this piece right here. And then on the other part is the red sort of base plate that I can just screw in here easily. And also here I have, I'll just screw this in. This is how easy, boom, it's already locked. This, what I have right here, is a V plate, also from Move Shoot Move, that I would highly recommend you to get if you shoot like panoramas, because it will enable you to just unlock the this axis of a ball head in order to go 360 if you do this kind of stuff, and you don't have to mess with the ball. And basically the exposures are way more accurate this way for a pano. So I would highly recommend this. If you don't, you can totally use it without it. And then standard ball head, any ball head would work. And then of course the polar scope would screw in here, like I've already shown in the intro. Sorry, not the polar scope, but the laser. And it works really well. It's lightweight. I think this is going to be my go-to tracker for like travel stuff and landscape astrophotography. I'm going to show some final images at the end of this video, so bear with me. But for now, let's take a look at a couple of these test shots that I was able to get back in Italy. This one is 28 mil. This is what I usually do for like panoramas or wide fields, even single shots. This is a 4 minutes exposure, as you can see, 240 seconds at f2.2 at 400 ISO. There are some clouds, but whatever. We're just going to look at how well it tracks. This is only polar aligned with the laser, sort of eyeballing it with the wedge that I've already shown you as well. You can get a polar scope additionally to get more accurate polar alignment, but you will see that, up to a certain focal length, you don't even need that. So let's zoom in. And here, as you can see, the stars are very well tracked. Again, this is 4 minutes, and I'm really amazed how well it tracks. No star trailing whatsoever, especially if you zoom out. But even if you pixel peep at 100%, this looks pretty much perfect to me. And then this one is a 50 millimeters. This is sort of the second lens that I usually use for like more deepscapes, this kind of shots where I have a longer focal length, maybe some deep sky object in the background and some point of interest in the foreground. So again, part of the Milky Way here. And if we zoom in, again, it looks really, really good. This is again 4 minutes at 50 millimeters and looks flawless to me. And at 100 millimeters, this is again 4 minutes, so really pushing it. And if we zoom in here, you can see some star trailing. So yeah, at 100 millimeters, the 4 minutes, maybe it's too much if you don't use a polar scope, only the laser. But to be honest, if you use a fast lens like an 85, 100, 135 prime with bright aperture, you don't need to go to 4 minutes. You know, I was just pushing the tracker to see where it will show up some trailing. But honestly, if you use one of these lenses, you can easily shoot for like 1 minute exposures. So I would definitely say that up to 135, this tracker is very much usable, even with just the laser pointer. If you want to push it further, you can get the polar scope. However, bear in mind that this has a payload limit of, I believe, 3.5 kilograms. So don't try to use like a huge telephoto lens or telescope on it. It's not really what it is designed for. It's designed to be lightweight, very compact travel option. If you want to go backpacking or hiking, I would highly recommend this. Again, I was using before Benro Polaris. I don't know if you remember on my channel, if you watch these videos. Benro Polaris, apart from being way more expensive than this, and it has some nice smart features or whatever, but it's bulky, it's heavy. You need to connect it to the phone. You need to fiddle with your phone, you need to level your tripod. You need to align to stars, and I hated this experience of having to do stuff on my phone while I'm out in the dark. With this thing, I just put it on, put the camera on, polar align in like 5 seconds using the laser, and I'm ready to go. So if you want to purchase the Nomad for yourself, I will have some links down below in the description. There is a discount, I believe, if you follow my link, so it will also, you know, help the channel. So please do. Check it out. I think it's well worth it. It's definitely an upgrade from the previous rotator that they had. I had zero issues with it, like unscrewing on itself from the weight of the camera. When I had to move it out of the way the camera in order to polar align with the laser so it doesn't hit my camera, the camera was like way off and nothing unscrewed. The system is very well designed, so you are able to tighten everything really well, and you can be safe that your camera is not going to fall over or anything like that. So highly recommend it. And yeah, let's see some shots, some final shots that I was able to get with it. Again, the Shoot Move Nomad, I believe, is my new favorite landscape travel backpacking tracker in my bag in 2024 and moving forward. So see you guys in the next video. Take care, and yeah, see ya.